I think for me, and it's something I do with all my clients and with myself with anything, any big goals. I think when you think about like 42 kilometers or you think about any massive goal you have, whether it's like going back and doing medicine or, running an ultra or running a marathon or whatever it is, when you think about it just as that, it becomes really, really scary. But if you break it down into increments and make it like small, achievable goals, then you're not thinking too far ahead. You're just focusing on getting to the next small milestone. And I think that's really helpful because you can really psych yourself out if you're like, I have another 10K to go and I'm in absolute bits. Like that's not good for your head. So I'd be like, okay, get to the next water station, get to the next, like, they have all the like, you get to 10K or 15K. It's like, just get to that next piece and just dig deep, like find somewhere in you that still has energy just to get to the next milestone. And you'll eventually finish on the finish line.
One of the things that I'm struggling with in the lead up to the marathon, the start of the intro, we talked about our progress and stuff like that leading towards it. And we'd always say, listen to your body, be careful of niggles and stuff because they can lead into a lot worse things than that. And, the hardest thing is getting the starting line. Dublin every year, 4,000 people do not get that starting line for so many different reasons. A lot of it is injuries. I do think other things are there as well. But you talk about on Instagram, the line between pushing hard and pushing too hard. And I do struggle with telling people like, hey, I've always had Achilles injuries, but I can kind of push through them, but I wouldn't recommend it. So if I'm coaching and I know people, I'm talking to the gym floor and they're like, I'm struggling with this injury. And I'm like, do you want the coach to tell you to rest up, or do you want me to tell you what the runner in me would tell you to do? Because they are two different answers. When you are coaching, because you push through injuries to get towards that start line, but also you don't want to push too hard. What do you define that line as?
It's a great question because I don't think that there's like a definitive answer, really, as you probably know yourself. I think that people have different thresholds of pain as well. So you have to be like mindful of that. Like, some people really get like caught up in like a really small niggle and like overthink it, overanalyze it. And it might just be like a little bit of a strain. I guess like something, and you probably both know from running a lot, is like self-awareness increases so much as a runner. Like you start to figure out your own, like where your own threshold is and like how far you can push. And like for Sean, for you, you have had Achilles injuries before, so you know that like, okay, that actually feels that feels too much. Like that line, which again is really hard to describe to someone unless because you really have to have a good understanding of your own body. I always like to say, like, I'm not a physio, I'm not a doctor, because ultimately I don't want to advise my clients like on either side of that. I don't want to be like, yeah, push through this injury because it might actually be really detrimental and people can have really like long-term impacts from bad injuries.
100%.
So I'd always recommend getting that like expert opinion. But I also think that you have to kind of to get back, like not even to the injuries, but I talk a lot about pushing, but not pushing too hard in relation to injuries, but also in relation to like fatigue, like for all of us average Joes out there who are running marathons, but also, have like full-time jobs, can't sleep in the middle of the day, don't have an S&C coach, don't have a masseuse. Like it's about pushing yourself and trying to fit in as much as you can, but also like if you're pushing too hard, that can lead to injuries. So I'm case in point of that. Like last year, got myself a metatarsal fracture 2 weeks before the marathon because I had just pushed myself so hard. And like I did know that I was crossing that line, but I was constantly like I was like dancing with the devil. I was like, no, but like I'm at my fittest now. I've never done intervals this fast. I've never done like, a 10K that fast, 5K. I really want to smash this marathon. So I literally was like fitting in like weddings, and like going abroad and still fitting in like my 4 or 5 sessions a week and like not getting enough sleep, etc., etc. So I think it's like finding the balance of get like in that scenario, pushing yourself. But like I literally pushed myself into a stress fracture 2 weeks before the marathon and couldn't do it.